Three outspoken commentators join me right now to discuss and debate the planned federal terror trials. They are sitting with me here. They are the attorney and best-selling author Ann Coulter on your right, Judge Jeanine Pirro, who hosts her own hit show on your left, the comedian, the activist, New Jersey's own Joe Piscopo. All three, I'm proud to say, are friends of mine, although I suspect, Ann, that you're not very happy with my position on this particular issue.
No, I'm not. I do agree with you that a lot rides on this for Obama. I think they're thinking either they get a conviction and they look like really macho studs, or they blame everything on the Bush administration. I mean, this really is appealing just to the crazy liberal base of the left. What,
to try them in federal court? Why?
The equation I just gave you is that Americans, when they hear that loud rock music was played in terrorist cells, will say, this is outrageous. And I do not think Americans are going to react that way unless they're on MSNBC or MoveOn.org. Number two, even if they
won't be on that federal jury, I'll tell you that much.
I don't know. We're in New York, and, well, that's something I'd like to ask the prosecutor about, all of the grounds for getting evidence excluded, for getting the case dismissed, which I think is a big problem. But number two, even if they get a conviction, I'll just say this quickly, as that trial is progressing, you and all the other TV stations are going to have these criminal defense lawyers on who will defend, O.J. Clinton and anyone else saying, well, of course we have to exclude this, and that's just going to make people angrier and angrier at Obama.
This sissy murdering pig, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, has confessed out his tushy since the moment he was captured. We have him on tape saying that he did it. What is the fear of bringing him where he committed the crime to stand trial?
This is insanity. We are affording constitutional rights to war criminals. The Military Commissions Act of 2006, as a result of the Supreme Court, said these guys need to be tried in a military tribunal. What about the right to counsel? They didn't get the right to counsel when they were picked up in Afghanistan.
You get the right to counsel in a military commission also.
What about speedy trial? They've been in Guantanamo for years.
The confession only came a couple of years ago, and there is no statute of limitations for murder.
Geraldo, these guys have been allegedly waterboarded, one maybe 183 times.
Then all of the coerced testimony is excluded.
Then what are we going to use as
My
evidence?
Attorney General tells me that there is ample evidence, Joe Piscopo, to convict these people and send them to the death chamber.
It's gotten too far. Send two Italian guys from Jersey in a Buick. It'll be over in 2 days. That's all I ask. I mean, you know what I mean? What happened to covert action? What happened to good old-fashioned covert action? I tell you, we got to triple team you today, Geraldo. We love you. You're the smartest cat on this network, but I got to tell you something. This is so wrong. As a father of 3 small children, to bring a terrorist trial into this region is frightening.
What about
I want to see them convicted and sent to death. The tsunami of reaction to the federal government's decision to try Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 of his co-conspirators, alleged co-conspirators, from 9/11 in federal court, not far from here, very close. Really, if those buildings still stood, they would be in the shadow of the Twin Towers. And don't you think that that is appropriate? Isn't that justice?
No, in fact, that's probably a basis for a change of venue motion by the defense. Look, any federal judge sitting on this trial is going to realize the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments have been violated.
Judge,
don't give them back to them retroactively.
Don't you remember 1993? Don't you remember the 1995 trials in the Southern District?
The difference was they were picked up on American soil. They were picked up by
the same building.
But they were picked up by law enforcement.
Don't you think this will reverberate much better throughout this planet?
The world?
Yes.
I don't care about the world. I care about the fact that more people were killed.
Do you really, knowing the justice system as
Harbor.
you do, believe that these people will be acquitted in our court?
I think
you
that
think our Attorney General is so naive?
Will say their rights were violated. I can't, as a federal judge,
and Joe,
allow it.
to your point, we are both dads, and we both live in New Jersey. Do you remember the last time anyone escaped from federal max? It has never happened, as far as I know. I know there was one incident where a guy was perpetrated violence against some correctional officers. They've never gotten out of MCC. Never.
I know, but it's too scary. And, a lot of the
Why is it scary? I'm not
Because
scared.
2 of the terrorists came from New Jersey. They were right in Essex County, New Jersey, renting cars and going in. It's just so glaring. This is, as the judge said, it's a war crime, Geraldo. It's a war crime. It should be treated and dealt with in a military court.
Why can't it be treated as 3,000 murders, Ann Coulter? This is 3,000 homicides. The vast majority of the victims were civilians.
Well, for one thing, I don't know why it should be. They'd already started the military tribunal. It is an act of war. I don't know how you would distinguish. I mean, why isn't what Hitler did just a bunch of murders?
It could have been.
Well,
a big bunch.
Okay.
And in this case as well.
What
historic
Janine,
wrongs that have been done.
What Janine was referring to is part of the problem. They weren't taking a criminal suspect. They were trying to get someone who had information and to get information out of him, because no one cares if he goes to prison. No one cares how a conviction goes. We want to catch him, hold him, and get intelligence from him. So they weren't interrogating
I want him to die by
in a
lethal
way that
injection.
that evidence could be upheld in court.
In the shadow of a Marion federal prison.
Bush administration's last Attorney General, Michael Mukasey, was a federal judge who presided over one trial of the 1993 Trade Center bombers. He worries about putting terrorists on stage.
You're putting Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Ramzi bin al-Shibh, and the others on the kind of stage that terrorists want to be on. They want to be on a big stage, and there's no bigger stage than New York.
Last night, Bill O'Reilly echoed Mukasey's theme. We argued about that and about Guantanamo.
The pain that the 9/11 families experienced is the same today as it was 8 years ago. It hasn't gone away. You're going to have a circus trial here, a circus trial, where waterboarding, the CIA, the Bush administration, Dick Cheney, that's what's going to be on display, not Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
I disagree.
I'll tell you, I can't believe you're disagreeing with me, because you know how much pain the 9/11 families are going to experience.
You remember Ramzi Youssef? Do you remember the blind sheikh?
Yeah.
They were tried for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. I was in the World Trade Center. I looked at the hole they made. Only because their bomb was a little less powerful than they intended did the buildings not fall down in 1993. They were tried in the Southern District of New York. They were convicted and sentenced and hidden away.
It was a different thing. They were living here.
They were colleagues and brothers
they
of
were
these murderers in 2001.
Here. Just like Zacharias Moussaoui was in Minnesota when he was picked up. Nobody had a beef with that civilian trial, although it was
then what
a
does
circus.
Cuba have to do with these people?
No. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was picked up in Afghanistan.
In Pakistan. You used the term risk reduction. That's what Guantanamo Bay was in the minds of the bureaucrats. They said, what are the risks here? The risks aren't really escape. People don't escape from maximum federal prison. The risk is the publicity or the propaganda,
terror attack,
or the United States Constitution might offer too many rights to these people.
Would you have brought Hermann Goering after World War II here?
Guantanamo Bay was a shyster's trick to evade the United States Constitution.
I think it was a smart move.
And now justice will be done where it deserves to be done, in the shadow of the buildings they brought down.
Attorney General Eric Holder all but promises conviction.
I'm quite confident on the basis of the evidence that we will be able to present, some of which, as I said, has not been even publicly discussed before, that we will be successful in our attempts to convict those men.